If the scumbag's psychological manipulation was a stream, then Charlie's hypnosis was the entire ocean. In an instant, Charlie's hypnosis completely defeated the psychological manipulation that the scumbag had been giving Luna all this while. Charlie's words were like the beacon of her life, and it would never disappear from her heart in this lifetime. Luna suddenly realized how stupid she had been all this time. When she thought about how she had almost been bewitched by that scumbag to commit suicide, she was so frightened and thankful that she immediately knelt and kowtowed in front of Charlie before saying, "Thank you for saving my life. I promise I will live well and never disappoint my parents. I will definitely contribute to society in the future." Charlie nodded in satisfaction as he said, "Since you have already regained your senses, then I wish for you to have a happy and fulfilling life in the future." As he continued chatting with her, Charlie suddenly thought of the scumbag and he asked immediately, "Can you tell me about your boyfriend?" Luna replied bitterly, "He is no longer my boyfriend from now on. That kind of person actually makes me feel sick." After that, she continued speaking respectfully to Charlie. "That scumbag's name is Keon Webb. He is the most handsome guy in the whole of Aurora University of Finance and Economics. He is not local, but I heard that he comes from a very well-off family. I was deceived and manipulated by him in the past, and I've always thought that he was perfect. I really did not expect him to be such a despicable villain." Charlie nodded again before he said, "I heard that he caused a lot of girls to commit suicide because of him?" Luna nodded repeatedly before she said, "I am just one of the many girls that he is toying around with. I do not know how many other girls he has." Charlie sighed before he said, "Why don't we do this instead? Why don't you give him a call and tell him that there is a gift that you would like to give to him before dying? Ask him to come and meet you immediately." Luna asked doubtfully, "What if he refuses to come and see me?" Charlie replied, "If he refuses to come, just tell him that you want to break up with him. Tell him that you do not want anything to do with him from now on. This kind of scumbag was intent on forcing you to commit suicide because of him. He regards a person committing suicide because of him as his greatest achievement. If he hears that you are going to break up with him, it will definitely be a huge blow to his self-esteem." These kinds of scumbags took pleasure in controlling and manipulating women. However, it would be a huge pain and shock to them if the women eventually escaped their control. They regarded this kind of thing as a battle, and there was only one victor in a battle. If the victor was not themselves, they would be deemed a loser. Failure was beyond their tolerance. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. At this exact moment, in a bar near the Aurora University of Finance and Economics, Keon was sitting across a beautiful girl. He smiled before saying, "Beauty, God is really unfair to me. I come to this bar alone every single day, but today is the first time that I'm seeing you here. I feel as though I have lived the past 20 years for no reason at all." The girl smiled and blushed as she said, "You are very good at coaxing girls. I guess you must do this a lot?" Keon shook his head repeatedly as he said solemnly, "I am actually a very shy person, and I do not usually dare to talk to girls. However, you give me a very special feeling, and I hesitated and struggled by myself for a long time before I finally decided to come over and talk to you." As he spoke, Keon deliberately revealed the Vacheron Constantin watch on his wrist. This watch was easily worth more than $7 million, as it was an extremely rare, limited edition watch. However, this watch meant nothing to Keon at all. After all, he had many other expensive watches at home, and each of them was worth tens of millions of dollars. The girl recognized the limited edition Vacheron Constantin at a single glance, and she was utterly surprised. However, she hurriedly pretended not to see it as she grinned and said, "Since we are fated to meet today, why don't we have a drink or two together?" Keon smiled slightly before he said, "It would be my pleasure." After that, he immediately called for the waiter. "Bring me 2 bottles of your best Aces of Spades champagne." The Aces of Spades champagne sold for more than $20,000 a bottle in the bar, and it could be easily called the most expensive champagne in the bar. The girl dropped all her lines of defense completely when she saw how generous he was. Therefore, she was especially curious to find out more about Keon. Just then, Keon's cell phone suddenly rang. He looked at the caller ID and found out that it was Luna who was calling him. He could not help but frown immediately. Why wasn't this woman dead yet? How annoying! The beautiful girl saw the strange expression on his face, and she asked curiously, "Is it a phone call from your girlfriend?" "No, it's not," Keon hurriedly explained. "My ex-girlfriend. She cheated on me, but I do not know why she wants to keep pestering me." After that, Keon sighed as he said, "Beauty, please wait for me. I will be back as soon as I answer this phone call." "All right." Keon took his cell phone in his hand before he walked out of the bar. After answering the call, he started cursing as soon as he opened his mouth. "Why are you calling me? You are such a filthy woman. Haven't you brought me enough insult and humiliation?" Luna had already turned on the speaker on her cell phone, and Charlie felt very annoyed when he heard Keon's words. This bastard was really giving her all sorts of psychological manipulation all the time. He wanted Luna to feel that she was indeed dirty and filthy so that she would take her own life. However, Keon would never expect that Luna had now actually already been completely freed from his psychological manipulations. Luna obediently followed Charlie's instructions and said, "Keon, I am already prepared to die for you. I know that you can only be free from humiliation if I am dead." Keon replied impatiently, "Then what are you waiting for? Why don't you go and die already instead of fucking hurting and humiliating me even further?" Charlie typed out a string of words on his cell phone before handing it over to Luna. Luna carefully read out the words typed on Charlie's cell phone to Keon. "Then, can you come and meet me by the artificial lake at the campus? I have a gift for you before I leave." Keon replied angrily, "No, I do not want to see you ever again. You make me feel sick and nauseous. You make me question myself and wonder how I could possibly fall in love with such a dirty and filthy woman." Charlie then typed another string of words for Luna on his cell phone. Luna read the words immediately. "Since you refuse to come and see me, I want to break up with you. From now on, both of us will go our separate ways, and if we ever meet again on campus, I hope that you will pretend that you do not know me at all. Thank you." Keon was stunned. What was happening? Hadn't he been brainwashing Luna all this while? How could she be so sober and awake? How could she possibly be so calm as she asked him for a breakup? Damn it, this was a slap right in his own face. This meant that all of his previous efforts were all for nothing. Hence, Keon hurriedly replied, "Luna, how could you be so cruel to try to hurt me like this? Are you really intending to leave me? Are you really planning to break my heart by breaking up with me?" Luna looked at Charlie's cell phone as she continued reading the lines typed out by Charlie. "Don't you think that you are hurting me too? I am already prepared to die because of you. My only wish is to see you one last time before I die. I have also prepared a gift for you, so why can't you just come and see me now? Since you refuse to come and see me, I have no choice but to break up with you." As soon as Keon heard Luna's words, he blurted out immediately, Don't break up with me. All that you want is to see me one last time, right? I will come and see you right now. You are by the artificial lake, right?" Luna hummed before she said, "Yes." Sensing that he might lose his control on Luna, Keon hurried back to school in a panic, ignoring the fact that there was a beautiful prey waiting for him in the bar. Keon dashed toward the artificial lake as soon as he reached the campus and saw Luna. He strode to her and asked, "Luna, what gift do you want to give me?" Charlie appeared out of nowhere and said with a smile, "She has no gifts for you, but I do." "Who are you?" Keon looked at Charlie in alertness and then back to Luna. "Who is he? Are you related to him?" Charlie said, "No, we're not related." "Who are you then?" "I am the one who enforces justice on behalf of God." Then Charlie patted Luna on the back and said, "Luna, go to Aurora and your friends. Go back to your dorm and get changed. Your job here is done." Luna nodded and bowed gratefully. She had 100% trust in Charlie because of what had happened earlier. Then she walked to Aurora and her friends who were standing close by. Aurora and her friends embraced her and wept with joy, grateful that she had given up the attempt to commit suicide. Luna was equally grateful for her friends' genuine concern. They embraced each other tightly and rushed back to the dorm. Keon glanced from afar in confusion, feeling that Luna seemed very off and strange. Had she overcome his psychological manipulation? Outraged, he glared at Charlie with an indignant frown and asked coldly, "Did you ask Luna to trick me into coming here? What do you want?" Charlie sneered. "What do I want? I want to ask you, did your parents give birth to you so that you could harm those girls? Do your parents know what kind of scumbag you are? Keon's face grew dark as he realized that he might be busted, so he cursed. I can get women to easily fall in love with me. That's my talent. I can get a lot of women to fall in love with me. That's my power. Who are you to point your fingers at me? Who the fuck do you think you are to mind my business? Do you know who I am? Believe it or not, I'll kill you in the blink of an eye. Oh? Why? You have a powerful family background? Keon smirked arrogantly. Huh. Have you heard of the Webb family of Sudbury? If you haven't, go and ask around, you imbecile. The Webb family is the top family in the South region. Oh, Charlie smiled. The top family in the South region? Awesome. Are all the men from that top family in the South region of yours scumbags like you? Do you all go around and break innocent women's hearts like you do? I love it. What are you going to do about it? I love seeing those women being manipulated by me. I love the way they mutilate themselves for me. I even enjoy watching them commit suicide for me. Who are you to mind my business? Also, do you really think you can mind my business? Oh, just because your family is very powerful, you think you can do whatever you want without worrying about the consequences, huh? By the way, how do I hear that the real powerful families are all in the north, especially Eastcliff? I think that's where all the powerful families are, aren't they? The rest of the families outside that area are nothing but lame people. Yes, although our Webb family is not comparable to the top big families in Eastcliff, we are among the top in the South region. Even the Moore family in Orris Hill is not as powerful as us. So I give you a minute to think. Do you still want to make a scene with me? Can you handle the outcome? Charlie nodded and said in an exaggerated tone, Ah, the Webb family of Sudbury, huh? Wow, you're so powerful. I'm scared. Get the hell out of here, then. Don't be such a busybody. It's just a phone call away for me to kill your whole family. Charlie smiled. Indeed, I'm scared, but I have a personal problem. The more afraid I am, the more I have to go for it. Then, Charlie glared at him with a murderous vibe and uttered one word at a time. Do you know who I am? I don't care who the fuck you are. Keon gritted his teeth and growled. Even if you are the king of heaven, if you mess with me, you have to pay the price. Charlie rounded his arm and slapped him, causing Keon to stagger and fall to the ground. Keon had had an overly affectionate upbringing, and he had never even been poked before, moreover, a slap. He got up and roared, Motherfucker, I'll kill you! Kill me? Charlie asked in a cold voice. Listen carefully, jerk. My name is Charlie Wade. I'm the young master of Eastcliff's Wade family, the chairman of the Emgren Group. Now I'll give you a minute to think. Do you think you can be so bossy and cocky in front of me? Keon was dumbstruck. The Wade family in Eastcliff? That was the top family in the country. Although the Webb family was slightly better than the Song family, it was not even 1/10 of the Wade family. He had doubted whether Charlie was bluffing, but on second thought, Charlie hadn't seemed nervous or scared when he had said his name, even daring to slap him. This meant that he must be full of confidence. This also meant that he was probably telling the truth. Keon suddenly became anxious. He thought that he could go rampant in Orris Hill and even the whole South region, but he didn't expect that the young master of Eastcliff's Wade family would appear in Orris Hill. Moreover, he was standing here, facing him. After all, he was a high-achieving student and a young master from a noble family who attended aristocratic and upper-class cultural rights classes. His IQ, EQ, and the way he handled conflicts were by no means comparable to Harold and his clans. He instantly realized that he might be in big trouble that could drag his whole family down the drain with him. Thus, he knelt on the ground swiftly and pleaded, Mr. Wade, I'm sorry for not recognizing you. I'm sorry for offending you. Please forgive me. Charlie was utterly surprised by his sudden change of attitude. Indeed, this guy was very smart and quick. No wonder he could manipulate and hurt those girls with his psychological tactics. This kind of person was so clever and slick, it was impossible to beat him with intelligence, which in the end, they could only be at his mercy. However, Charlie was not merciful to him. He sneered. Wow, I'm impressed. You really know when to yield and when not to. But do you honestly think that I'll let you go so easily simply because you kneel and apologize? Keon stammered, his voice shaking. Mr. Wade, I'm sorry, I truly am. I promise you I will never do it again. I'll even pay $100 million to Luna as compensation. Please, please forgive me. Oh no, you don't. You don't understand how I do things. Now that you're in my hands, money is no longer the solution. Mr. Wade, how would you like to settle this? I'd like to give you a dose of your own medicine. Keon frowned in confusion, dumbfounded. What did Charlie mean? Did he want to psychologically manipulate him? How was that possible? Keon's major was psychology. He was very good at psychological manipulation, so how could Charlie brainwash him? Charlie smirked at Keon's look of surprise and said, "You love to manipulate those girls with your psychological shenanigans, don't you? I'm going to do the same thing to you. I want you to eat shit every hour, and you can't stop until you're full." Keon stared at Charlie dumbfounded, as if Charlie was telling him the most bizarre thing ever. Charlie smiled wickedly and continued, "Also, after the hypnosis, whoever stops you from eating shit, you'll do anything, even kill yourself until you eat shit. If you see shit on the road, you must eat it. Otherwise, you'll feel as though you'll die if you don't. You'll try to kill yourself when anyone tries to stop you. This will go on and on for the rest of your life. Hence, that is what your future holds. You will not pursue anything other than eating shit. You will have no interest in money, pleasure, or women. All you would want to do for the rest of your life is to eat shit." Keon was a little agitated by Charlie's remark and said, "Hey, Mr. Wade, do you think I'm stupid? Do you really think I'll fall for that stupid trick? This is not how you do psychological manipulation. You are no professional." Charlie laughed out loud. "I'm not a professional, you say? Ha! I'm an expert. Try and see if you don't believe me." Then, Charlie stretched out his hand and tapped Keon's forehead. Keon felt as though his body had been fixated by something invisible. After a few seconds of respite, he opened his eyes wide and murmured anxiously, "Where is shit? Where is shit? I want to eat it now. I'm going to die. Ah, where is shit?" He even forgot about Charlie's existence. He turned around and ran toward the dormitory in a hurry, because there was a voice in his brain telling him that there were toilets in the dormitory building and he would have all the shit he could eat. The most bizarre and shocking incident then broke out in the dormitory building of Aurora University of Finance and Economics. Keon Webb, the popular guy in the university who came from a super-rich family, barged into the toilet and kicked a male student who was sitting on the toilet taking a dump. Listening to the first half of the story, it sounded like a story of a rich guy bullying other students, but the second half of the story was absolutely disgusting. After kicking the student away, Keon reached into the toilet bowl and scooped the stool that the student had just defecated and stuffed it into his mouth. The scene of him devouring the shit caused the other students who had witnessed it to vomit. They didn't know what was wrong with him, so they quickly called the warden. When the warden came, Keon had just filled his belly with the shit, and he didn't even wipe his mouth. The warden vomited upon seeing the scene as well. Despite the disgust, the warden didn't dare to take it lightly as he knew that Keon came from a powerful family. He stared at him and asked, suppressing the disgust building inside him, "Mr. Webb, what's going on? Why are you doing this?" At this moment, Keon had just regained his composure. He felt an extremely disgusting taste in his mouth, so he wiped it and put it under his nose and almost fainted from the irritating smell. He had completely forgotten that he had seen Charlie and what he had done just now. He didn't understand why he had a mouthful of shit. He rushed to the sink to rinse his mouth and retched. The warden followed him and asked, "Mr. Webb, are you not feeling well?" Keon shook his head, his face as pale as a sheet of paper. "What's going on? Did someone trick me?" A male student came forward and said, "Boss, just now you came back from outside, kicked Sammy off the toilet, and ate his—" He couldn't go on at this point. He felt as though he was going to vomit again and tried to control it. He slowly said, "Maybe we should go to the hospital to check you out." "What the fuck did you just say?" Keon shouted angrily. "You said that I ate Sammy's—" All the male students nodded profusely. Keon vomited again and growled, "Hurry, take me to the hospital." The warden started his car and drove Keon to the Silverwing Hospital. Several male students who were close to Keon followed as well. As soon as they arrived at the hospital and saw the emergency doctor, Keon shouted, "Doctor, quick, clean my guts, I ate shit." The doctor was stunned. It was the first time he had seen such a patient after more than a decade of experience in medicine. He reflexively asked, "Why did you eat shit?" Keon grabbed the doctor's collar furiously. "If I fucking knew why, would I still come to you? Clean my stomach now!" The doctor was annoyed by Keon's attitude, but as a professional doctor, he spruced up and ordered his nurse, "Prepare gastric lavage tools now!" The nurses nodded hurriedly and began to prepare for the procedure. Just then, Keon felt an intense headache like a surge of electricity flowing through his brain. Then, he lost all senses, and all he could think of was, he wanted to eat shit right now. He blurted reflexively, "Where is the toilet? Where is the toilet?" The doctor pointed to the right and said, "Turn right and go to the end." Keon rushed out of the ward and ran toward the toilet. The warden and his friends quickly followed him. When Keon rushed into the toilet, he pushed open the first stall. Instead of using it, he looked into the toilet bowl and found that it was empty. Then, he immediately went to the next stall. The crowd was horrified by his actions. Did he want to eat it again? When Keon opened the second stall, an old man was sitting inside. Just as he was about to jump at him, everyone pulled him desperately and yelled, "No, Keon, no!" Keon shrieked frantically, "Let go of me! Let me go! I want to eat it! I want to eat it!" His friends were utterly shocked. What was wrong with him? Why did he suddenly become such a lunatic? Why did he suddenly want to eat shit so badly? The warden yelled, "Quick! Get him out of here!" Thus, his friends muscled up and dragged him out of the toilet. Keon wailed like a child as soon as they exited the toilet. "Let me go! I want to eat shit! Let me go! I'll die if I don't eat it now! Please, let go of me!" Suddenly, the entire emergency department of the hospital became lively and chaotic. They had seen patients with various diseases, but they had never seen a person who wanted to eat shit so desperately. He was such a young and charming man at that. What on earth had happened to him? The doctor felt rather awkward upon the unfolding of the event and said, he wanted to clean his stomach, but why does he suddenly want to eat that thing now? I wonder if there's something wrong with his senses. "Sorry, our hands are tied here. I think it's best if you could bring him to the Castle Peak Psychiatric Hospital." The warden pondered the suggestion. Indeed, it didn't seem like Keon suffered from some kind of physical disease, so it must be his psychological condition then. The warden made up his mind and urged, "Guys, let's go to the Castle Peak Hospital." Keon was on the verge of insanity at this very moment. All he could think of right now was to eat shit, and he was ready to harm himself if he couldn't. He slapped himself on the face repeatedly, knelt on the floor, and banged the floor with his head. His friends tried to grab him, but he struggled violently and shouted, "Let go of me, fuck! If you don't let me eat shit, I'll kill myself right here." Then, he started struggling even more violently. Due to his explosive power, his friends couldn't hold him down and released him. He barged into the toilet desperately. His friends tried to catch up with him, but he was too fast. When they rushed to the toilet, he had already pulled the old man out from the stall, buried his head into the toilet bowl, and started stuffing his mouth. They tried to drag him away from the stall, but they couldn't stop him. The old man was so frightened by the bizarre scene that he trembled on the floor with his pants still on his knees. The onlookers were equally stunned by the sight, and some nosy people took out their phones and started recording the scene, posting it on Twitter. "Holy cow! Look! There's a crazy dude here at the Silver Wing Hospital who eats shit!" Keon's warden and his friends almost went crazy because of him. They dragged him back to the doctor's room, suppressing their urge to vomit. The old man who was thrown to the floor by Keon whimpered innocently, "Don't let him out if there's something wrong with his head. What the hell? Why is he even grabbing shit to eat?" The school warden took out his wallet, looking embarrassed as ever, and handed the old man a $100 bill. "Here, sir, this is the compensation for the incident. Please forgive us." The old man beamed in delight when he saw the money, and all the frustration and irritation flew out of the window. He accepted the money gracefully and asked, "So, do you need my service next time?" The warden retched in disgust and said, "No, sir, there's no next time. Please proceed if you haven't finished your business." Then he urged the students, "Hurry, get Keon to the doctor now." When the doctor saw Keon, he vomited all his dinner and blurted, "Oh, please take him to the mental hospital now. We can't do anything about it." The warden said, "Well, can you at least wash his stomach contents, please? It's so dirty and disgusting." The doctor twisted his face into a painful grimace. I would love to, but what if he wants to eat it again? I have to put in the tube slowly and carefully into his stomach to clean it, but it's pointless if he wants to eat it again soon. The warden turned to his friends and asked, Is this his second time? Yes. They nodded quickly. It's almost an hour's gap. The warden nodded. Then he might want to eat it again in another hour? He hesitated for a moment and said, Wipe him clean, get him into the car, and let's go to the Castle Peak Hospital. We're finished if we delay it again. The boys wiped Keon's mouth in irritation and dragged the confused Keon toward the car. As soon as they got into the car, Keon regained his composure and felt the peculiar taste in his mouth again. He asked, What did I do again this time? His friend sitting beside him asked in shock, Don't you remember anything? Keon shook his head, puzzled. No, I don't remember much. I just remember that I had a headache and my brain was buzzing. Then he put his hand to his mouth, huffed a breath, and almost fainted from the awful smell. He cried desperately, What the hell? Did I eat it again? Sammy, who was sitting in the front passenger seat, turned around and said, Boss, we tried to stop you just now, but you were too strong. You barged into the toilet and dragged an old man. A guy sitting next to Keon shouted, Hey, stop it! Oh! Sammy realized how disgusting the incident sounded, so he shut his mouth. Keon hurriedly asked, What's going on? Tell me. Everyone exchanged nervous glances. No one wanted to describe the horrible scene, and they felt disgusted even by thinking about it. Keon shouted with a gloomy face, Damn it, tell me. The awful smell exhumed the car in an instant when he roared. The warden who was behind the wheel and his three friends were a little dizzy from the dreadful smell. The warden quickly wound down all the windows to let the wind blow the awful smell away. Keon blew a gasket. He turned to the man on his right and snarled, You, Jack, tell me what happened or I'll break you. Pay me back the $2,000 that I lent you the other day. Jack shrieked in shock and stuttered, Okay, boss, I'll tell you everything. Just now you went crazy again and wanted to eat that thing. We tried to stop you, but you were too strong. After breaking away from us, you ran to the hospital's toilet, broke into a stall, dragged an old man out of the stall, and... The more Keon listened, the more gloomy his face became. He stuttered, Did I eat it? Jack nodded cautiously. Yes. Blair, Keon vomited. The thing that he had eaten twice in a row was now all over the car's cushions. In an instant, the car was so smelly it was as though it had fallen into the septic tank. Opening the car windows to let the air in didn't work anymore. The other 4 people in the car were completely devastated, especially the warden. He had just bought the car for $200,000 2 weeks ago. His car was now considered spoiled after the vomit. However, he didn't dare to scold Keon because of the latter's family background. The college president had ordered him to look after Keon and not to irritate him in any way. While this was happening, the video of Keon eating shit had spread on the internet like wildfire. It went viral the moment it was uploaded and became the most shared video. The Webb family in Sudbury were extremely shocked when they saw the video, and they started to get antsy and nervous because of it. The Webb family was one of the largest families in the South region, and they emphasized on their younger generation's honorable reputation very much. Now that Keon had done something so horrible, they immediately suspected that there must be something wrong, so they quickly arranged a trip to see him and find out. Meanwhile, they also tried to contact the social media platforms and urged them to delete the video. It was such an embarrassment to the family. How could they bear for such a thing to affect them? However, it was getting out of their hands. The video was shared so fast, and it spread to different platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Very soon, it became the most searched and watched video on the internet, and almost everyone knew about it by now. The head of the Webb family was extremely furious. Donald Webb, Keon's father, immediately called Keon and chided, Keon, what's wrong with you? Did you lose your senses? Do you know your video is very popular on the internet right now? You are an embarrassment to our family. Keon wanted to just jump out of the car and kill himself as soon as he heard about the video. He wailed desperately, Dad, it's not my fault. I don't why, but my brain will go haywire every hour, making me want to eat that thing. I was completely unconscious when it happened. It's beyond my control. My friend said that I will inflict self-harm and attempt suicide if I don't eat it. Dad, help me, please. Donald paused for a while and said firmly, Son, wait for me. I'll fly over with your brother and doctors now. Then, without even pausing to pack any luggage, he urged Sean, Keon's brother, along with the entire Webb family's physician team, and hopped on their private jet, flying from Sudbury to Auris Hill. The Webb family was even more powerful and wealthy than the Moore family by a large margin. The family was equipped with all aspects of supporting facilities such as private jets and yachts. They also had a private medical team and security team. The Webb family's physician team was composed of 6 top medical experts in various fields, including one of the best psychiatric experts in the country. However, they didn't know that even the best psychiatric specialists in the world could not cure Keon. Meanwhile, Charlie was at the main gate of Auris University of Finance and Economics, with Aurora clinging his arm affectionately. Master Wade, you're amazing. We have been persuading Luna for months and it didn't work. But just a few words from you, she changed her mind, Charlie said flatly. Maybe when she jumped into the lake, she realized how precious life is and she was suddenly grateful to be alive. People will only see some of their own problems when they are in desperation. Aurora nodded and said gratefully, Master Wade, thank you so much. If it weren't for you, Luna might be dead already. Don't worry, your friend will be very positive and optimistic from now on. Then Charlie reminded her, You'd better be careful too. When looking for a boyfriend in the future, don't be fooled by such a scumbag. Aurora giggled timidly. I won't. I'm very smart, okay? Then she glanced at Charlie with her large, sparkly eyes full of admiration and said in a low voice, Actually, I've thought about it. When I look for a boyfriend in the future, I want to find someone like Master Wade. Charlie chuckled. Why? Does your family want you to find a live-in son-in-law too? Aurora blushed. It doesn't matter if he wants to live in or not, if he is someone like Master Wade. Charlie nodded and said with a smile, Forget it, you're still young. Study hard, you can always find the love of your life after graduation. Aurora pouted. I don't mind if I can find true love now. I'll be with him right away. After all, true love is the greatest. True that, Charlie replied sincerely. If you really meet your Mr. Right, better grab him fast. Without further ado, Charlie said, All right then, go ahead. I'm leaving now. Master Wade, are you leaving already? Would you like to have a cup of coffee together? Charlie waved his hand. No, I can't sleep at night after drinking. Just then, Aurora received a message. She reflexively opened it and was stunned by the sight. Oh my God, that's so disgusting, Charlie asked curiously. What is it? Aurora retched for a while. She then passed the phone to Charlie and said while coughing violently, It's a video on Twitter. Keon was eating shit out of the hospital toilet. Wow, that is so disgusting. Who would eat that kind of thing? He's sick. Charlie glanced briefly at the video. Indeed, it was awful, but it felt damn good looking at it. Didn't this fucking kid's love to psychologically manipulate girls? Let him taste a dose of his own medicine and feel the thrill the psychological manipulation brought him. Charlie could already foresee Keon's future. He had to eat shit once an hour, otherwise he would fall into the extremes of self-harm and suicide. It would be pointless to bind him. If they didn't feed him shit, he would try to bite his tongue, go on a hunger strike, and even keep yelling and shouting like a lunatic. Thus, the best way to keep him alive was to satisfy his need to eat shit every hour. Otherwise, he would not survive within a month from mental suffering and torture. Fortunately, the Webb family was rich and powerful. With their diversified business and the large family tree, they probably wouldn't mind taking care of Keon. It's just that Keon would be quite miserable for the rest of his life, as he would have to eat shit every hour. Charlie wondered just how long he would be able to stand it. After Charlie had returned home, Keon was sent to the Castle Peak Psychiatric Hospital. It was the only psychiatric hospital in Auris Hill, but it was located in a remote location. The journey to the hospital was about 15 miles. The smell in the car was comparable to a septic tank, a living hell to the people in the car. When they arrived at the hospital, they helped Keon out of the car and slowly walked toward the hospital. Suddenly, the weird feeling slowly crippled Keon's mind again. First, he felt dizzy and had a headache. Then he looked at the people around him in despair and cried, "Damn it! Guys, the feeling is here again. If I lose my mind again, remember, you guys must hold me down." Shocked, they nodded reflexively, but inside they were thinking, "We definitely will try to hold you back as much as we can. But whether we can hold you back or not, that's a completely different story." Then, as if Keon had suddenly morphed into his hysterical disguise, he shouted anxiously, "Where is the toilet? Where is the toilet?" Everyone exchanged nervous glances, and they saw the desperation in each other's eyes. Damn it, he had started again. What were they to do? The warden shouted, "Hold him down! Don't ever let him go!" Hence, the three boys tugged his waist, pressed him down on the floor, and held his limbs tightly, trying to restrain his struggle. The warden shouted, "Wait here, I'll call the doctors to help. Hold on, guys." The three boys pressed on Keon with great effort, but Keon was struggling violently like a feral dog being apprehended. One of the boys shouted, "Oh, damn, guys, I don't think I can hold him any longer. What should I do?" "Just press him down, don't let go," the other boy said. "I'll remove my belt, let's tie up his legs." "Okay, good idea." At this moment, Keon was pressed to the floor by his friends. His eyes as red as beetroot, he blurted out loudly, "Let me go! Damn it, you guys, let me go!" The people passing by the psychiatric hospital were very used to such a scene, and they didn't even bother to take a second look. After all, it was common to find a couple of patients who went berserk as he did. Just then, a retired old man who lived in the family quarters behind the hospital approached the hospital entrance with an enormous husky on his leash. The husky sniffed its surroundings, circled at a spot, and squatted down. Sammy saw the scene and shouted at the old man, "Get your dog away from here, damn it! Don't let it poop here!" The old man glared at him in dismay. "Mind your own business, young man," Sammy yelled in frustration. "Gah! Old coot, just get your fucking dog away from here. Otherwise, something horrible will happen." The old man snorted. "I have had this dog for 6 years. Even if it wants to poop on my bed, I'll let it do so comfortably and then just clean up after it. I don't want to make its life miserable. Who do you think you are to mess with me?" "You?" Sammy was speechless. At this moment, the husky tensed its belly, shuddered a little, and defecated. A huge pile of dog poop dropped to the floor. Keon went crazy when he saw this scene. It was as if he had been given a stimulant, and in an instant his strength skyrocketed. He jumped up fiercely, knocking the three guys on his body away. The three guys fell on their backs. Before they had time to cry out, Jack shouted in despair, "Fuck, stop him!" They pursued Keon as though he was a treasure. However, Keon was faster. He skidded to the pile of shit on the floor behind the husky, opened his mouth, and instantly devoured it like a vicious dog rushing for food. The old man was extremely shocked by this unbelievable scene. He jumped away in bewilderment and stuttered, You, just how long have you been starving?" Keon had completely lost his mind. The psychological hint that Charlie had imprinted in his mind was enormously strong, and the same phrase kept replaying in his mind, "Fill your belly, fill your belly." The three guys were in great despair. They jumped on him and desperately wanted to pull him away, but he lay on the floor like a mad dog, cursing and eating. The warden finally arrived with a few doctors. Even the doctors who were used to seeing mental patients were frightened by this bizarre scene. They had seen all kinds of mental illnesses, but this was entirely new. This was so ferocious. The doctors hurried forward, dragged Keon from the pile of shit, tied him to a special bed with fixed belts, and pushed him into the hospital. Meanwhile, all the students at the Aarhus University of Finance and Economics were spreading and sharing Keon's horrific video. Many people would vomit on the spot after watching the video, but they suppressed their nausea just to watch the video over and over again. They cheered ecstatically as they watched Keon's miserable encounter. For them, this was his retribution for all the terrible things he had done to the girls. Everyone knew that Keon was insane, and that he loved to psychologically manipulate girls, forcing them to self-mutilate or even commit suicide to satisfy his distorted needs. Many people with a sense of justice hated him to the core, but he had been untouchable due to his powerful family background, and so he had never paid any price for his atrocious actions. In the end, Keon Webb, who liked to use his psychological manipulation in a bad way, had turned into a shocking mental patient himself. Not only was it ironic, but it also relieved the resentment and tension people had on him. It was such a delightful karma. In the meantime, the Webb family's private jet had just landed at Oris Airport.